Hello, everybody. We start tonight with that breaking news. One of the biggest mysteries in music history has been solved. Police in Las Vegas announced late today they have made an arrest for the murder of iconic rapper and musician Tupac Shakur, 27 years after he was gunned down. Shakur was one of the most popular music artists in the 1990s. His murder was shocking because it was so brazen. He was shot as he sat in his car at a traffic light while speaking to fans on the street. The man arrested today is 60-year-old Dwayne Davis. And during an emotional press conference, police said they never gave up on solving the case.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keefe Davis, a.k.a. Keefe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur. While I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case. It was not the case back then, and it is not the case today.
This is the indictment we've been waiting almost 3 decades for. It spells out the facts and circumstances and what justifies a Clark County grand jury in returning an indictment. Justice will be served.
Police say they knew early on who was involved in the shooting, but that it took many years to find enough evidence to bring charges. In 2018, Davis admitted his own involvement in the homicide to several media outlets, which broke the case back open. Here to break all of this down now is former homicide prosecutor Matt Murphey. First of all, Matt, how big a deal is this, an arrest 27 years after?
Well, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And one of the fascinating things about this particular case is the reminder that there's no statute of limitations on murder cases. So in all murders, you like to have the idea that there's some detective working behind the scenes trying to solve it because there's no deadline.
There's no deadline. We also have Mike Dorsey, who did a documentary on Tupac Shakur. Mike, how big a deal is this? How big a deal was this murder when it happened, and how big a deal is it to have this arrest announced today?
I mean, it's one of the most famous unsolved murders in history. Some would say the most famous unsolved murder. So it's a huge deal. And this many years later, 27 years, I think most people, certainly his fans, had given up hope that they would ever have, closure for the case. So enormous deal.
Yeah, for people who might not remember how big a deal Tupac Shakur was in the 1990s, set the scene for us. He was one of the most popular music artists of that decade.
To this day, he's arguably considered by many the greatest rapper who ever lived. He was also an actor. He was probably going to go into politics. He was very politically active, active with social causes. So he embodies the term icon, really. He was more than just one thing.
And we had known for a while that this Dwayne Davis was involved. What can you tell me, based on your reporting, anything about Dwayne Davis?
Sure. He did a proffer session in 2008 with the federal task force where he laid all this out. But, of course, that couldn't be used against him. So the case languished for years. And then after our murder rap documentary came out that put that proffer recording out there to the public, that started the ball rolling. And in 2018, for some reason, he went on BET, this program called Row Chronicles, and did a public interview where he repeated a lot of this story. And he had a lawyer present when he did that. I was a consultant on that show, and I was there when he did the interview. But still, he said a lot. And then I think when nothing happened to him after that aired, I think maybe he got a false sense of security, and he started doing YouTube interviews, and he wrote a book and put a book out that to me reads like a 220-page confession. Not just about his life, but to the murder. It's crazy that he just went public with all of this.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. And Matt, I mean, obviously, he had a lawyer sitting next to him. What was that lawyer thinking, letting his client basically confess to the murder?
Somewhere right now, there's another lawyer who is probably pulling his hair out going, dude, you wrote a book?
Yeah.
So there's one of the LAPD detectives that was actually connected to the Biggie Smalls investigation. There was a great quote out there, and he said, this case it's not an unsolved case in our view, it's an unprosecuted case. I thought that was very telling. Of course, it's important to remember this man, he's presumed innocent, and there's a concept in the law known as a corpus cop-out, okay? That means that you can have a crime, you can have a confession, but you still need additional evidence that links the confession to the crime.
So what did they get?
We don't know. We don't know. So the grand jury, this was a months-long investigation by the grand jury of Clark County, and they served various search warrants in the case, including a search of his wife's home in Henderson, Nevada. And we don't know exactly what they found yet, but boy, they sure seem confident in that press conference today, the sheriff and the DA. So.
And very emotional. I was very struck by how emotional both the DA and the police chief were. Matt, I want you to comment on that, and then Mike, I'd like you to as well.
Well, number one, I saw that and it made me a little bit nervous because, guys, you can't do a victory lap before that jury.
It was definitely a victory lap.
It really was. So I wonder, they seem very, very confident. The thing I really did like about it is that, having worked in that sphere for so long, these detectives behind the scenes that we haven't even seen on TV yet, they work really hard. They sacrifice a lot of their personal life. They don't get enough credit. And what I really liked was recognizing the men and women that have been involved in that investigation. For all
Mike, thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.